How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the One Piece anime again. So I don't talk about the anime that much on the channel. I usually talk about the manga, but the anime has been pretty crazy lately with the egghead adaptation. And I wanted to talk about it now because we got the big moments so far. Last episode was the Joy Boy hockey knot. So I wanted to talk about everything from Kuma to Garp to Bonnie and everything in between for this to end off the year. Just talk about Egghead and how I felt about this run of Egghead. Since the anime is going on a bit of a break soon, I'm pretty sure we have a week or two left. I think it's the 28th or something. It's the last episode, or the 22nd, something like that. I can't remember the chapter numbers they covered. To be honest, I thought the hockey knot was part of the last episode. I actually want to jump straight in to talking about the latest episode first because there's one line I want to talk about really quick right off the bat. So they removed unless it happens later on in the next episode, to me they have removed the line from Dory and Broggy where Dory and Broggy compare the hockey they felt to red-haired Shanks, which I thought was very weird because I thought it's a very clear indication of the power ceiling of the series, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, we saw they emphasized it in this chapter or in this episode, and it was incredible. The reaction shot from Luffy and how they animated Luffy's face, it was next to the level. Like, obviously in the manga, it was very clear how powerful this hockey blast was, but in the anime, it was just made so overpowering. Like, even just the way Luffy, like the way they had Luffy react to it, it just felt so like inhuman. Do you know what I mean? And it was incredible to see. Like, I've been loving watching all the Bonnie Gear 5 stuff that's been going on lately. They did a really good job with it. I know a lot of people had a problem with like the Luffy balloon thing that they did the last few episodes to save a bit of time, but to be honest, the bits that mattered in these episodes were done really, really well. And the Nika punch stuff they've been doing with Bonnie has been incredible. You know what I mean? Like all her emotional moments with Kuma and Ginny and everything like that. The build up. The anime has done a fantastic job on the Kuma build up. Like an unbelievable job. I actually can't believe how well they've managed to do the Kuma build up. Like, I'm telling you right now, every week watching that Kuma flashback, even though I knew what was going to happen, I knew how it was going to play out, it got me emotional, man. The voice acting, the animation, everything, and the music was put together so beautifully, so fantastically that it just made me so emotional over and over again. I mean, this is how incredible the Kuma flashback was. They took a glorified recap episode called The Life of Kuma, and it was unironically probably the best episode in the series by a long shot. Like, how do you do that? That is incredible. That was next level. Like, we give Toei a lot of shit for the recap, and that's why everyone's happy about the breaks. But, like, the idea that they turned a recap episode about Kuma into one of the best episodes in this series is phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely phenomenal. Oh man, like the emotions coming out of me, man. Like if I've talked about any sort of media before, you know I love parental media. I love stories about parents and their kids. I just find it so emotional. I find it so touching, especially when it comes to fathers and stuff like that. And Kuma hit the nail on the head almost perfectly. He is definitely one of my top 3 characters in the series right now. Currently, my ranking for top 3 would go Luffy, Kuma, and Whitebeard, I think, personally. Whitebeard, I love Whitebeard. Obviously, you can see his weapon in the background. And I got a Whitebeard statue there. I had to put him back into the cabinet so his weapon's kind of scraping off the ceiling because I got an Iron Man helmet. Pretty sick, by the way. I was going to start the episode by wearing it, but I might just end it by wearing it because I couldn't probably keep it on for the whole thing because it kind of squishes my face. I got to work that out if I ever want to do an Iron Man cosplay. Man, that would be so sick, man. I've always wanted to do it, but I want to have like a proper like suit. You know, I need to make an engineering friend that could build this shit for me. You know what I mean? It'd be like a whole project I could sort out. Be making a whole video around it. Be like a documentary. It'd be really cool, actually. But like, yeah, And Kuma, I loved how it was put together. And to make Bonnie a character, like, let's be real, no one really cared too much about Bonnie and a Rouge before Egghead. And, like, we didn't know much about her. Like, obviously, there were theories. A lot of people thought it would have been, like, Kuma's mother or something like that, or, like, a granddaughter or something. There was a lot of different theories, a wife or something like that, when the moment in Reverie happened, like, 6 years ago. But like it's incredible to see now how they turned Bonnie into a fantastic character. How they blended her backstory together with such important characters in a way that makes perfect sense. Vegapunk is one of the most, like, he's so grey in how he, the type of person he is. Like, he's not a good person, but he's also not entirely bad. And the way they've melded that into a person who feels real, but also you root for him. It's interesting, especially because I think the anime like leans into the idea that Vegapunk, like the negative side of Vegapunk, the way you see him framed by like when dragons speaking to him and things like that. I feel like the coloring and the music choices kind of lend itself to showing the bad side of Vegapunk and lean on that. And I think it's very interesting to see. You get loads of different points to show how, the negative side to Vegapunk and how it's affected both Bonnie and Kuma, but also how fantastic Kuma is, the absolute legend and saint of a person that he is. And what I find fascinating, I've always said this before about media such as One Piece and any form of media whatsoever, is how these characters are constructed. I just don't understand how in someone's head they can think of so many multi-layered and so well written. Like, what type of people have you met in your life to build these characters around? Especially for a manga artist, like, what? How do you have the time to be meeting these incredible people to form your character ideas around? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I know a lot of people aren't gonna like this comparison, but I know, for example, in Fairy Tale, a lot of the main cast are based off the author's drinking buddies and such. So I do like people when they're writing stories take from real life and they obviously take from stories as well. But it's just the complexities and the how interesting the characters are in the writing. I've always been interested to know where they come from. Like what people they're based on, how you came about the ideas of these characters. Kuma, Vegapunk, and Bonnie are something I'm really interested in. And then obviously we get more stuff leading into Shanks, which will be covered later on in Elbath. There's just such incredible stuff going on, and I think the anime has done a fantastic job with Egghead. Yes, there's been an episode here or there where I'm like, I don't know. And obviously, people have been raging about Sanji. I don't know, man. Like, they just love Zoro, man, and people love Zoro. They're putting in the stuff for Zoro. Yeah, they could obviously give him cubes and all, but also he didn't have a single fight. Like, Zoro got some cool animation near the end, but like he didn't. It was because he had a solo fight. They didn't really do like mad crazy shit for Zoro. Outside of that, okay, that's a lie because I rewatched Egghead late recently, the beginning, and he literally when he's slicing the water bubble, they like go real hard on that. But I don't know, man. I think it's see the gag for Sanji. I've watched loads of people watch One Piece for the first time lately, read it or watch it, and these people will love the story, love the characters. But Sanji's gag just does not work, and it's not a whole. They just don't like the whole gag as a whole. Because I've seen it with people. They love Brook because Brook is so, it's so random. It's like it's not very common. I think with Sanji's gag, it's just way too common and it's way overdone and it kind of ruins it. I've said it a million times. I had a lot of problems with him during Wano. I complained about it all the time and I was like, oh, I was like, oh, you fixed it in Wano. You fixed it in Wano. And I was always going on about, I'm always trying to defend Sanji because, look, I cosplayed Sanji. I love Sanji, especially in Whole Cake. Whole Cake was one of my favorite acts for a long time. So it's really hard to accept when both the anime staff and Oda kind of put him to the wayside. And they write him really well, but the gag just kind of overpowers everything. And it's like, I know a lot of people have accepted it, but it's always hard to accept because Zoro, yeah, he's not as character rich. There is some solid character right in there that could be brought up later on. But it's just if the gag was toned down even a little bit, Sanji would be unironically so many people's top one because he's just so well written outside of the gag. And the gag is somewhat important to his character, but just toning it down to like a 7 instead of an 11. Do you know what I mean? And that has an impact on people. And I think the anime does do that a lot. You know, I'll see it when Stussy showed up and stuff. But like I think I'm coming around to acceptance at this stage, you know. Well, how they treat Sanji is not going to change. I'm just going to appreciate the good moments we have with him, you know, bringing back that pre-time skip energy. Like that Queen fight, oh, it made me feel so nostalgic. You know, it made me feel so nostalgic. Even when he was going up against like, you know, Kizaru and stuff, all these different things. He has his moments. They don't land as hard because of the gag. And for a lot of people, like a lot of people, obviously, when you've watched it a few times, you understand where Oda's going with the gag and understand where it's heading. But the unfortunate thing is that people don't see that because it's not like you could say, oh, it's subtlety, but like the gag is like 600 episodes long of him just the nose bleeding thing pisses people off, man. I've had 3 separate people I have watching One Piece right now got to like the post time skip, and after Fisherman Island just despised them. And I actually checked with this literally yesterday with a buddy of mine who's on Fisherman Island right now, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't like Sanji at all, but I like Brook," and I was like, "I'm happy to see where he's going," and I was like, yeah, but man, everyone loves him, man, because of the train thing and Ennis Lobby, man. That was just so fire, you know? And he was like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, he was really cool there, but then they just kind of butchered him. Like, that's the thing. That's how it feels to everybody. Everyone feels like he was butchered. And I think a lot of people, the way people are feeling about Sanji is just being shown in the anime, you know? Because obviously the animators might feel the same way and they might just double down. Or they think it's funny. Because they also have to realize people do see all the drama online. They might just be taking the mick. Like at the end of the day, you know, it could just be that entirely as well. There's so many different options for this, and I know Tomazoro and Sanji is always going to be like a mixed bag for people, but it's an interesting conversation because they are, you know, the wings of the Pirate King. They're 2 of the most important characters in the show, and I still hope he gets Conqueror's Hockey, and I still hope we get a beautiful resolution to his character arc because a lot of people think it's over. It's not over. There's more to be had, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. But moving on from that, because I do want to talk more about the Bonnie stuff, because Bonnie got the Gear 5 transformation in this episode, and this stuff was incredible. We got a Dragon Ball Z transformation for the latest episode. It was some of the best stuff ever. Man, they've just made it so good. Even Luffy in Gear 5. Gear 5 in the anime has been incredible. Do you remember when that Luffy episode came out? My god. People still talk about that episode. It might be the best episode in Egghead for a lot of people. Man, that scene when he's like, feel it, feel it, feel it. And he's just like, oh man, he goes straight into Gear 5 and he just, man, that was such a clean scene. Do you know what I mean? Such a clean scene. Like, incredible. And they've just kept it going. Gear 5 has just been incredible. Even when they half-ass some of the animation, you know, when you're in between the major episodes when they're just running. Gear 5 still gets that attention that it needs, and it's still some sick shit. Like, it's just mad. It's just it's just so wacky and so cool. And like, I love the manga form of Gear 5. I really do. I think the way Oda draws Gear 5 is really, really interesting and really grabs my attention every single time. But I love the anime, the sound effects, the Looney Tunes sound effects. Just they're fantastic. I've kind of come around to the idea. Like, I love the manga, and I've been rereading a lot of the arcs lately. Like, Dressrosa is incredible when you read it. I read it in like a day, and it was incredible. I had as you know, physical volumes back there, my pride and joy. Do you know what I mean? And I read it in like a day, and I was like, "This is incredible, man." Because I loved it in the anime, even though it was slow. But I don't think I completely understood how incredible Dressrosa was. But I feel like I'm so glad I consumed the 2 of them. You know what I mean? They're like really well done companion pieces to each other. Like, when I read the manga now, I still hear the voices of the voice actors. You know what I mean? The anime voice actors. They still have such an impact on me, man. Luffy's voice is forever playing in my head. My thoughts are Luffy's voice, man. Luffy's voice, best voice on the planet. It's just straight up best voice on the planet. You know what? Uh, you know what I'm saying? Morgan Freeman, eat your heart out, man. Morgan Freeman, eat your heart out. You got nothing. You got nothing on. You got nothing on Luffy's VA, man. You got nothing on it, man. You know what I'm saying? But it is that sort of thing. Like I'm coming to terms with like obviously it's I'm happy it's on a break. It's gonna get better quality, but I am coming to terms with like they're really good companion pieces together because you get different angles from it. Like I never thought of the idea of Luffy, how overwhelmed Luffy might have been by Joy Boy's hockey. It wasn't really shown to that level. The reason we saw how powerful it was because of the way that Gorosei reacted to it, not necessarily Luffy. But this part of the anime in particular added this scene where Luffy just looked completely mesmerized by the hockey to show a different level. Now I will say I do have something that's kind of I'm really confused about. And it's the only time in One Piece where I've felt this way about a villain. Every single chapter that goes by after Kaido's defeat, Kaido just seems so weak, man. Oh my god, man. From Garling to Dragon to the Gorosei to Joy Boy to Luffy. Hell, like everybody seems to be stronger than Kaido right now. Like Kaido didn't have a Conqueror's hockey feat to this level. Not even close. Because before this feat was in the manga, when this feat was done, I was like, yeah, okay. It's a powerful hockey blast, one of the most powerful we've ever seen. But it's like it's more so powerful because of the fact it was Joy Boy. You know, that's why the elders reacted so strongly. And it's just another level. Like Kaido could have done the whole thing, but he might not have gotten the reaction out of, Emu. But the level of power from that, it just wasn't seen. And the reason I think it's so weird is because of like Luffy's reaction, because of the way it was that Luffy was shown to react to it. Like Luffy was head to head with Kaido in Gear 5, in Conqueror's Hockey. Yeah, he was probably still overall weaker than Kaido, but like I don't know. Like obviously they might give him more powers as the flashbacks go on. He'll get stronger by proxy, like Crocodile. But even Crocodile, it didn't feel like he was weaker because Marineford he came back and he was so much stronger. Now obviously because I watched that in like one go, it felt made more sense. So it could literally just be that, and Doflamingo's gonna get the same thing. But I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, man. Like I've always thought of Kaido as like a top five, in the verse. I don't. I do want to do a top 30 at the beginning of the year. I could do it at the end of the year, but I really don't know. I have to really think of a list for it, to be honest. It's going to be a long discussion about the kind of the top 30. It's a bit like obviously we kind of have I like doing we can do alive characters and we can do dead or alive characters because that's going to be really interesting as well. But I don't know how I feel about Kaido, man. That's the only thing. I was sitting there watching it, and afterwards I watched it again. And while I was rewatching, I was like, man, they just made Kaido look like a bitch. His feats in Wano, like, he's really powerful. He's really strong. But like, I understand like that's how shonen anime works. But I've never felt that with a villain before because Kaido felt so strong, so overwhelming, like someone on the level of Shanks. Like, because my whole thing was Shanks is just one of one. Do you know what I mean? Like you saw for years I've been putting Dragon one of one, but the last time I did a 30 top 30, I put like Shanks one of one. I was like him and Emu are like neck to neck, and I still like that idea because I like that like that's why he got away with everything he's doing. Like we saw, spoilers by the way. No, you know what? I won't bother. I won't bother spoiling it because this is kind of an anime episode, isn't it? An anime discussion episode, so don't want to spoil it. But there is something that happens in the manga in a flashback that like you would think that this would be like he would die after this, right? Like he would be dead, but nothing happens. So to me, he has to be as strong as Emu to get away with the shit he just be pulling. Like none of his family heritage is gonna matter at the end of the day, no matter what happens. If he couldn't carry his own weight, and especially the comparison with Joy Boy carries this forward. So I was like, Shanks being stronger than Kaido, whether the world realized that or not, makes sense. He is like the de facto son of Roger. He is like the king of his generation. He is the unsung pirate king of his generation. He just never took the throne. He's like Whitebeard. Whitebeard was that for Roger's generation when Roger died. He kind of took the throne but didn't. And Shanks is doing the same thing for this generation, right? So for me, it was always like Shanks being above Kaido makes sense, but not very many people are. Maybe Shanks, Mihawk, Dragon, Akainu, you know, a very small list of people. I do think Akainu has to be mad strong because I'm starting to rethink how I feel about the Admirals, right? Because everyone's like, oh, the Admirals have to be like two of them against the Yonko. Yeah, that makes perfect sense if you think about it this way. If you think about the Marines as like a giant pirate crew and like the Fleet Admiral as the captain, of course, one Admiral isn't going to be as strong as a Yonko because Yonko is like the level of a Fleet Admiral, right? So like the the Admirals are like they're Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, King, Queen. They like fight the first commanders, and then like how Kid and Law fought a Yonko, you have two of them could fight a Yonko and they could win, and then three of them would destroy a Yonko probably. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where how the power system lies. And then with the Seraphim, you've got the world government are basically like the arguably, if you put it in like pirate terms, the world's strongest pirate crew. They got like they have tens of millions of soldiers, right? We found that, but that's a minor spoiler. We do find that out. We find out the number of Marines at one stage. It's like tens of millions. So they've got massive commanding officers and stuff. Like Akainu has to be up there at some stage, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see that at one stage. I have a buddy. We'll get him sitting down and talking about this at some stage. He is the biggest Akainu glazer. I'll let him just sit and talk about Akainu for an hour and just see how that goes. I'll just sit here and listen, actually the same guy. The video's up here somewhere where he talked before all the stuff that was revealed about like the sun god and the forest god and all this. He was talking about the four gods. Man, incredible stuff. Like actually, like his theories, they can be off the wall. Like he's a big Kaido glazer. He wants Kaido to come back and like help Luffy, and he thinks all this. I don't want that to happen, but he's a big Kaido glazer with that bigger glazer than me. Kaido's like his top three, I think. Is Kaido his top three? I have to talk to him about it. But like, you know what I mean? We'll sit him down and talk about that at some stage. But like, it's a whole thing I've been thinking of lately. I have to really think about it, obviously, because this, like, the anime, I think, did a really good job with showing the Gorosei being strong. Like, especially, was it Mars, the bird one? I can't remember the names I can't remember the Gorosei's names, man. I just know Samurai Gandhi. I know he's like Eric or something now, but and like Judas, is it Judas? Peter, not Judas. I don't know. Oh, Judas is the guy in the Bible, and that's something like that. I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you. But like the guy who looks like Sanji's dad. Yeah, we're just gonna call him Sanji's dad, right? Reason. Man, I thought of that song. Man, that song better be in the Gojo for Sasuke in a movie, man. What's it? Oh man, I'm getting copyright strike for that beautiful rendition, man. But do you know what I mean? Like, it is the sort of thing where it's like, I think Mars was shown to be like really competent, and Wargiri was shown to do some stuff, and obviously Peter and things like that. I do think Saturn, considering how fucking useless he is, was shown to be a bum, and I like how he was shown to be a bum. Whereas the rest of them were shown to be somewhat reliable and getting somewhat of a job done. And the fact that Saturn had no role to play in getting rid of the signal was great, because I fucking hate that guy. I just love how Egghead's been a Saturn punching bag show, because he is the most deplorable bastard ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've had a lot of fun, a lot of fun in One Piece, man, and we've had a lot of bad bastards that we've wanted to kick the head in. But Saturn is just a prick. An out and out prick. And it's great to see him get absolutely walloped by Bonnie and walloped by Luffy and completely destroyed. And you know what? I will say this right now. Emmett in the anime was so good. His voice, the way they had him going. Oh, it was just so cool, man. He came off as so cool. I don't know. I'm like, to be honest with you, and I will say this right now, the Dawn season 2 has made me way more partial to like kaiju fights. I don't know, that last part of that season was really good for kaiju fights. I have to read Dawn at some stage and talk about it, because the same guy who I was talking about with the Sanji stuff yesterday was telling me, like, because there's something that I got spoiled on with Dawn, and I was like, I'm not reading it until that shit is solved. But he said, nah, it's some good stuff. So I am gonna go check it out at some stage. But I'm on season 2. I finished season 2. Season 2 is incredible. I might make it my own video on dot 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 if I rewatch it. But season 2 was some of the best stuff, like best anime I've ever consumed. Like it was definitely a 10 out of 10 season. It was incredible. Animation wise, character wise, music wise, everything about that season was incredible. Super wacky, super crazy, just balls to the wall. It was great. You know what I mean? And my whole point is it kind of got me very partial to kaiju stuff. So seeing Emmett do his thing, it was great to see. And obviously, friend of the channel who's been on it before, Emmett. It's good seeing my mates get represented in the show. We love seeing it. It was like when the main character of Xenoblade 3's DLC was called Matthew, and I was like, yeah, I'm in it, boys, I'm in it, let's go. I got super hyped about that shit. But I don't know, man. I talked. I was talking about the anime for a bit, and then I just started talking about power scale for like half the episode. I'm just waffling at this stage about the One Piece, the anime, and everything as a whole. I just using it to branch out and talk about loads of different things. Because we can go back. Speaking of the Admirals, I do want to go back and go on to like before all this, like before the break with the Garp and Kuzan stuff, because that stuff was so good. Like I don't think you understand, right? Going back and watching, I'm rewatching Egghead right now in one go. Well, not one go. I've kind of stopped now because I'm to watch K-On! Right now. I have been asked to watch K-On! For like 7 years, and I just have not done it. So I am finally doing it because I don't know. I'm like you know what I mean. Like he got me into Yakuza this year. He got me into loads of different things this year. And he was like, and so he's like, please listen to my recommendations. And he's been on about K-On! And Desperate Housewives since the day we met. So I was like, I'll watch the two of them. I'll take my time, but I'll watch the two of them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be talking about either of those things here, unless I do like a favorite things thing again. And I really like it. But I don't know. We'll see. Uh, but what was I saying? Where was I going with this? Yeah, no, I was saying my rewatch of One Piece. Yeah, like the Garp stuff is really good, and I think because people don't like how Garp goes about things, you sit and think about him a lot more than every other character in the show. Like he is incredibly written. When you go back and watch Marineford, and you're sitting there like, I just don't understand it. Like I genuinely, right, my current running theory with Garp is obviously he wants to protect Marines, but I do think he's an undercover revolutionary man. I think he is integral to taking down the government. He is integral to taking down the world government and taking down Emu because he has all this knowledge and all this insider knowledge. And I just feel like it would make more sense if like because letting Ace die for your job is one thing because theoretically, right, in Marineford, yeah, we know what Alkiji did, defecting. But if Garp defected in Marineford, Alkiji would have stepped up to the plate, I think, and would have been that protector for the Marines for that side of the Marines. You would have had Kobe kind of be there as well, and you would have had like Momonga and things like that. There were people there that Garp had looked out for, had put on a pedestal that could have done that job. Maybe not as good as Garp, but like him defecting wouldn't have had that impact. It would have had a social impact in terms of like the wider society, but like in terms of the Marines itself, I don't think it would have as much of an impact as he says it was. I have to believe in my heart of hearts that whatever Dragon has planned, Garp is integral to this plan, and like Garp is the difference between the world being free and the world, still being under Emu's rule. And I think that Garp understood that and because he obviously has some knowledge about, the Void Sentry and something that Roger might have understood. Like we know Roger wanted Ace to be Joy Boy, wanted Ace to be the Sun God. Well, we don't know if that's exactly what he wanted, but he did say like, "Oh, my son is going to be this person or this whatever incredible thing they found on Laughtail." Do you know what I mean? So like, and you could see it right when he was like he let Luffy, punch him. He he let most of the Whitebeard pirates do their thing besides Marco. He just showed that he was doing some stuff. He thought Whitebeard was strong enough to save Ace. He thought Ace was going to survive. He didn't think he needed to do anything. He was upset because he knew that it could happen, but he was prepared for them to be saved. He thought that that Ace was destined to be saved, but he knew he had to stick to the plan. He couldn't defect because what he has to do in order to save millions of people's lives is more important, you know, in the long run. Like, this is always the argument people use, the greater good over family. Sometimes you have this argument in fiction all the time. And you could have the idea of his job being more important as well. You could have it as a mix of all three, because he might still be racked with guilt with the idea of what he's doing in the Marines. He might feel like he's betraying the ideal that he is upholding. There's a lot of ways you could spin it to make it really interesting. Now, if we play it straight and assume it's entirely just the job, Oda's done a really good job at making that incredibly interesting, especially with the Hachinosu Island, the Blackbeard stuff, and all that. It's fascinating. It is like he's doing a really good job with that. But I think an extra spin on the idea would just be perfect. I don't know, man. It's just great. Like, Aokiji, the fight, man. Also, people are getting mad spoiled on that. They don't know the context, but that dap up scene between Garp and Aokiji, everybody knows about that. Fuck me, man. Everybody knows about that. It's crazy. People like in pre-timescape are talking about it. You know what I mean? It's the Aokiji stocks have gone way up, man, because of that one scene. I don't know who the animator was for that impact frame, but you did an amazing job with that. You have raised the stocks of Aokiji with that scene alone, man. It's incredible. But yeah, man, it's unbelievable. Like, the Egghead anime has been unbelievable. Like, we talk about Wano all the time, and I'm gonna rewatch Wano at some stage proper. Like, I read it for the first time because I watched Wano completely. I didn't read Wano until I caught up with chapter 1,000, and I got up to chapter 1,000. I have not reread Roof Piece because, to be honest, shit happened. I wasn't going to the gym and for like 3 weeks, and I stopped reading Wano because I was reading it in between sets. Because, man, my leg days are painful, and I was just taking long breaks. So it was a chapter between every set, and I actually got called out, man. It was crazy. I was obviously sitting there. I was like, I got like 7 reps in, and I hit failure, and and this was on my shoulder day actually, so I don't usually take this long a break, but I was going up every single rep. Oh man, oh that stung. So I was sitting there for ages, just waiting because I was trying to do them, and I was like, oh fuck, I overdid it. And so I started reading a chapter. This elf fella comes up to me and starts like giving me shit. And like, I understand I was sitting there for a long time. I think it was like 7 minutes, way too long. I should have gone off the machine. But like I was like, but the way he said it was like, you were just sitting there looking at your pictures, and I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, he was 100% in the right. Like, I was sitting there too long or whatever. Like, I mean, I was resting between sets, but like still, but like it was just so funny the way it was said. You know what I mean? I got a great laugh out of it. But then obviously, I was great. I don't know. That's just a funny. I just think that's a funny anecdote. I don't know. But yeah, no. Funny pictures, man. Stop reading your funny pictures. I was like, all right, cool. I don't know. I love the gym, man. You meet some crazy characters there. It's great. But man, I haven't been able to go in ages. I got sick recently, and it's been a whole thing. But regardless, back to One Piece, man. But yeah, that shit's incredible. Now I have to say, my biggest problem with Egghead right now is that, like, it's just too emotional, man. It's genuinely too emotional. Like, I talked about this earlier. We're going back to Kuma now for a second because I talked about Garp enough. I think my ideas aren't super fleshed out. It's kind of a basic idea. I think, because I'm trying to talk about it without talking about stuff that happens later on, because I don't want to spoil things for people who haven't watched it. Because this is an anime discussion, so I want to keep it to an anime field relatively. Like, there's a couple things in there that I think I wasn't sure if they were animated yet, but I still talked about them. But like, relatively, I'm keeping it as like anime friendly as I can. But like, The Kuma stuff, as I said, was just incredible. Like just going back to it again and again. It's so good, man. It's so good. And like I love it, man. Kuma was just so much fun to see. I like the thing is in these flashbacks when Oda takes a new perspective for an MC, he just makes you love them, man. He makes you love them so much, and he gets better. All right, he gets better. The next flashback, he gets even better. You know what I mean? Oda's writing for flashbacks in this final saga is the most impeccable shit ever. It is so good, so incredible. This is what I'm saying, man. If this man, like, this man needs to donate his brain to science or something, because it's some of the most incredible character writing. Like, it's just, oh man, like One Piece just it boggles the mind sometimes on how great it is. Like I love it to my very core. It is one of my favorite parts of the week. You know, when a new chapter drops, I could be having the worst week of my life, which which I have been. I have had. I had last week or the week before, worst weeks of my life, and still my day brightens up on a Sunday when a chapter comes out and an episode comes out, and I am like, oh yeah, and yeah, the episodes aren't going to be there anymore. But you know I'm gonna be rewatching more episodes, man. Because let's be real, that's what stops the rewatches of the anime. Like, cause I have to go back and go, instead of just being able to click on it and be like, oh, new episode, I have to go back and scroll. I'm like, fuck that, man. So like now that it's gone on a break, I'm gonna do so many more rewatches because I don't have to stop every week. You know, um. But I'm really happy with how Egghead has turned out. It was some most incredible stuff. Even the filler was incredible. And like, I'm sitting there thinking a lot. I was trying to pay attention to the Straw Hats interactions and the Straw Hats in general, because everyone says they don't get enough time. They don't get enough moments. But I do feel like when you're forced to sit with the moments we do get, because I feel like because the manga is like panel to panel, and like Oda will put like two panels of something they're doing, and because it's a panel, you speed right by it. But it's like 2 or 3 seconds in the anime, so it sits with you a little bit. Even like I don't know, man. Like Nami had a lot of speeches and moments in Egghead when it came to talking about Robin or the moment with Saturn. Even Usopp had a few things. Frankie was just fanboying the whole time, and that was cool to see. Now unfortunately, midway through the arc, Frankie's voice actor, he had to retire because of health issues. He is one of the most incredible voice actors. Like super will be in my mind forever. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I did a poor job at that, so please listen to the original. It is incredible. Now, saying that, I love the original voice actor. I do think he is, Frankie in a nutshell. He will always be Frankie to me. But I do like how they took his voice in a different direction afterwards. That they didn't try to mimic it. I like how the new person they brought in for the voice went a different direction. Because it's like keeping the original and being like, this is sacred. We don't want to take this and manipulate it. We'd rather have our own original take on Frankie's voice. And I like that approach because you weren't gonna get the same voice. Like the level, like you just weren't. And it's gonna be the same with with this One Piece remake that's coming out. You're just not going to get the same voice out of these characters. You might as well take your own original approach. I think the only character that they should try and mimic in some sort of way is Luffy's voice, because the voice is so iconic, I think, to most of the moments. Like it's required, I think, for most of the moments to hit. That like Luffy's voice to me is like vocally some of the best things ever. Like just not even in anime, like just in general, like vocally, I think just incredible. Like on an entirely different level. So it is gonna be weird when the new show comes out, and I don't know if it's gonna hit the same. But I think taking a different approach and like accepting that the stuff that we got from the original show is its own thing and interpreting it in a different way. Yes, a lot of people are gonna be like, I wanted this, but like I think taking it in a different direction will allow us to appreciate the old version and not like taint it by making an inferior copy. So like I don't know. that's my take on the whole voice acting thing. Because people are gonna have to retire from the illnesses, and obviously I kind of lost the plot there and started talking about as the voice acting crew as a whole. But we do hope that Frankie's voice actor will get better and healthier and be able to enjoy his retirement to the fullest, because that is the most important thing in life, is that people are able to enjoy their life and have fun and be free. That is the whole ethos of it. And I wish him the absolute best, and I hope he has a fantastic retirement and recovers well. And I don't think he'll ever come out of retirement. I think once you retire, you should retire. Enjoy the rest of your life, man. Even if you get better, you know what I mean. Just enjoy it. Enjoy your legacy. And it's an incredible one at that. Frankie is an amazing character, and he was elevated so much through the voice acting. So it's important to just appreciate that. And I'm glad, as I said, they took a different approach with the new voice actor. And I don't know, I haven't talked about it a lot at all. I don't think. I think he retired during the break, during like my break from YouTube. So I really don't like. It's a difficult topic, obviously, but it's like it's important to acknowledge how important that legacy is going to be, and like the ways in which you can honor it while still taking a new approach with the remake or with the new voice actor. It's important to talk about these things, because I'm just kind of using this video as a platform to talk about everything to do with the anime in one way or another. Yeah, but I think this is a good note to end it off on, to be honest. Just appreciating the voice actors in general. Um, so yeah, I like that's kind of my overall thoughts on the Egghead arc and the anime as a whole in the latest few parts. And like obviously it's coming to an end next week or the week after, and like it's been an incredible arc. It's hard to say if the anime has been better than the manga, because like I read Egghead manga very recently, like a couple all the way through, and it was such a fast read. And though that double page spread, now that is one thing actually. Nothing the Gorosei did in the anime bet that one double page spread from the manga when they were summoned. That was some of Oda's best artwork, and the anime just didn't top that. It just nothing they did with the Gorosei topped that single panel. That was incredible. Like this is what I'm saying. Oda has it. Oh, like this is why I think instead of saying one's better than the other, because it's very hard to say. There's aspects of one that's obviously better, and there's aspects of one that's better. And I know it's like that's very chicken shit of you. You're not giving an answer. You're chickening out. But like it's so true in this element. Like you could easily argue Wano was better than the anime. I feel like a lot of people will. But with Egghead, yes, there's so many things, but I feel like you have to experience it both ways. It's just like it's like having your it's like having it's like having your main meal, but like you eat like let's say you're having a steak, right? And you eat like half the steak, and then you eat half the steak, but you don't put like the gravy or the pepper sauce on it. You just leave it. You don't give it any extra flavor. You don't have any of the chips. You don't have the onion rings. You don't have like you don't have you don't have anything on top of that. You just have half the steak. You haven't even had the full steak, and you didn't even cook it to medium rare. But everything combined is the perfect steak dinner. It's the medium rare cook. The medium rare cook. It's like the perfect cut of beef. You know, the chips are cooked to perfection. And all the sides, everything like the onions are done perfectly. You got the onion rings, the gravy and the pepper sauce are there. You've even got a little bit of melted butter. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what the manga and the anime for Egghead together is, man. It's the perfect steak dinner. You know what I mean? And then some red wine to top it all off. You can tell. You can tell what my favorite meal is, right? Oh man, I'm telling you. I am telling you, man. I know I'm lazy. When I cook my steak I don't be doing that. I don't be adding all the extra stuff. All the extra stuff is all the extra stuff is done every now and then. But like I'd be lazy. But last time I cooked a steak, I think I just did like steak and chips. So like I am I when I make a steak, it's just the manga. It's just the manga like two episodes in the anime. But when a steak is done to its best, that is what the manga and the anime fully combined together is. It's the perfect meal. It's the most satisfying experience. You know, is that a weird way to describe it? Probably. I'm quite hungry right now, so that's why it's happening. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. And with that being said, as I'm gonna say now until probably the new year, hope you have a fantastic Christmas and a great new year. And I will talk to you in the next video. Cheers, everybody.